They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And for many of us, that means eggs. Fried, scrambled, boiled. Eggs have been a trusted part of our kitchens for generations. But what if I told you that something so familiar might be quietly working against your health? Now, I know that might sound dramatic, but over the years, I've seen more and more seniors, good people, thoughtful eaters, making the same small mistakes with eggs, not because they don't care, but because no one ever told them that these tiny habits could carry real risks. In this episode, we're going to explore the 5 most common mistakes older adults make with eggs. And more importantly, I'll show you how just a few small changes can protect your heart, support your digestion, and help you keep enjoying eggs safely every single day. Some of what you'll hear might surprise you. Some of it might remind you of something you've heard before, but all of it could make a big difference. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's talk honestly about eggs, what they can do for you, what to avoid, and how to make the most of every bite. Because you deserve to feel good, stay healthy, and enjoy every meal with peace of mind. 1. The silent killer, cooking eggs in toxic oils. There's a mistake that happens in kitchens across America every single morning, and it's one we rarely notice. It's not about undercooking. It's not about storing eggs the wrong way. It's about what you cook your eggs in. For many of us, cooking oil is an afterthought. We grab whatever bottle is nearby, pour a little in the pan, and move on. Eggs go in, breakfast is served. But what we don't realize is that the oil we choose, especially when we're frying or scrambling, can quietly turn a healthy meal into something that slowly harms our bodies over time. Here's the thing. Not all cooking oils are created equal. Some can hold up to heat, others can't. And when an oil breaks down under high heat, it forms compounds that the body struggles to process. These invisible byproducts may lead to chronic inflammation, disrupt digestion, and over time contribute to bigger health concerns like heart disease, joint pain, or cognitive decline. What makes this mistake so dangerous is how invisible it is. You won't always smell it, you might not taste it, and the eggs will look perfectly golden and delicious. But the damage can be slow and silent. For older adults, this matters even more. As we age, our bodies naturally become more sensitive to what we eat and how we prepare it. The same breakfast that felt fine 10 or 20 years ago might now be leaving you more bloated, more tired, or more foggy, without any obvious reason why. I've heard from many seniors who say, "But I've been cooking this way my whole life." And I understand that. Familiar habits bring comfort, but comfort doesn't always mean safety. This is one of those moments where a small shift in awareness can create a big impact. When you realize that the oil in your pan might be part of why you feel off after meals, it opens the door to better choices. Choices that honor the years you've lived and protect the ones still ahead. Now, don't worry, we'll talk about which oils support your health a little later in this episode. But right now, the most important thing is recognizing the mistake. Using cooking oils that aren't suited for high heat or for your body's needs as you age. It's easy to overlook, but once you know, you can't unknow it. And that's a good thing, because the eggs themselves aren't the problem. It's what we pair them with, what we heat them in, that can quietly turn a good meal into a risky one. So the next time you're standing at the stove, take a moment to think about what's in the pan before the eggs go in. It could be one of the most important health choices you make all day. 2. The overcooked egg problem. Let's talk about something that happens in almost every kitchen, and most of us never notice it. Overcooking eggs. I know it sounds harmless. Maybe you like your eggs with a little crisp on the edges, or maybe you've boiled them until the yolk is dry and crumbly. A little extra heat never hurt anyone, right? Well, not exactly. Eggs are one of nature's most complete foods. They're packed with high-quality protein, healthy fats, and nutrients like vitamin D, choline, selenium, and B vitamins. But when we cook them too long or at temperatures that are too high, something important happens. We start to lose those benefits. Let me share Robert's story. He's 76, a retired teacher, and for years he fried his eggs until they were golden and crispy, just how he liked them. But he began noticing some discomfort after breakfast, a little heartburn, occasional bloating, low energy that lasted through the morning. After chatting with a friend who knew a thing or two about nutrition, Robert started looking into what happens to eggs when they're overcooked. And what he found surprised him. When eggs are exposed to high heat for too long, the cholesterol and fats inside can become oxidized. That means they change at a chemical level. Oxidized cholesterol has been linked to inflammation in the body, which is a key factor in many chronic health problems, including heart disease, arthritis, and even memory issues. It's not just about cholesterol either. Overcooking also damages sensitive nutrients like vitamin B12, folate, and important antioxidants such as lutein and zeaxanthin. These nutrients help protect your vision, support your brain, and keep your nervous system running smoothly. If you're relying on eggs for these benefits, overcooking means you're getting less than you think. You might have seen the signs without realizing it. That gray-green ring around a boiled yolk, that's a chemical reaction from too much heat. The rubbery texture in scrambled eggs, also heat damage, and that strong sulfur smell. Another clue your eggs have gone past their sweet spot. The good news is you don't have to give up eggs. You just need to cook them a little more gently. When Robert made a few simple changes, scrambling his eggs at medium-low heat, boiling them just until the yolk was set and avoiding that dark crispiness, he started to feel better. His heartburn faded, his energy improved, and he even said the eggs tasted better, softer, more flavorful, and easier to digest. So what's the best way to cook eggs? For boiled eggs, aim for 6 to 7 minutes if you want a creamy yolk. Poaching is another great option. It uses gentle heat and helps preserve nutrients. If you scramble your eggs, use low to medium heat, stir slowly, and remove them from the pan while they're still a bit soft. For fried eggs, cook until the whites are set, but before the edges turn brown. A little patience goes a long way. Think of it this way. Eggs are delicate. Treat them with care, and they'll give you everything they have to offer: nutrition, flavor, and satisfaction. Overcooking might not seem like a big deal, but over time, it adds up, especially for older adults whose bodies need all the help they can get from food. So the next time you're at the stove, try turning the heat down just a bit. Give your eggs the gentle touch they deserve. Your body and your taste buds will thank you. 3. Storing and reheating eggs safely. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked: how we store and reheat our eggs. Most of us are careful when it comes to raw eggs, but what happens after we cook them? That's where small mistakes can lead to big health problems, especially for older adults. Imagine this. You've made a nice breakfast, some scrambled eggs, maybe an omelet, and something comes up. A phone call, a visitor. You leave your plate on the table and come back a couple of hours later. The eggs still look fine. So you eat them. What you don't see is what may have happened while you were away. Cooked eggs, just like raw ones, are a great environment for bacteria to grow if they're not stored properly. When eggs sit out at room temperature, especially for more than 1 to 2 hours, they enter what food safety experts call the danger zone. That's the temperature range between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit where bacteria multiply quickly, sometimes doubling every 20 minutes. For younger, healthy people, the effects of foodborne illness might just be a rough day or two. But for seniors, it can be much more serious. We're talking about dehydration, digestive issues, and even hospitalization. As we age, our immune systems slow down, and our bodies can't fight off infections the way they used to. Let me share Evelyn's story. She's 74, active, and very mindful of what she eats. But one morning, she cracked an egg into her pan and noticed a slight sulfur smell. It didn't seem like a big deal. She figured cooking it would make it safe. So she went ahead with breakfast. Later that day, she started feeling queasy. Then came stomach cramps, nausea, and eventually vomiting. Her doctor confirmed it was food poisoning, most likely from that single spoiled egg. After that experience, Evelyn learned about the water test. It's simple. You gently place an egg in a bowl of cold water. If it sinks and lays flat, it's fresh. If it stands upright or floats, it's time to toss it. That little habit gave her peace of mind, and she hasn't had a problem since. So how can we keep our eggs safe? First, if you're not eating your cooked eggs right away, store them in the refrigerator within 2 hours, or within 1 hour if it's a warm day. Keep them in an airtight container to avoid contamination and prevent drying out. Hard-boiled eggs can last up to 1 week in the fridge, as long as the shells are still intact. If you've peeled them, try to eat them within a few days. Scrambled or fried eggs don't last quite as long, about 3 to 4 days at most. And when it comes to reheating, avoid the microwave when possible. It tends to dry eggs out and can heat unevenly. Instead, reheat eggs slowly on the stovetop using low heat. Add a little water, broth, or even butter to keep them moist and prevent overcooking. Another important step, check your eggs before you even cook them. Look for cracks, odd smells, or discoloration. If something feels off, trust your instincts and throw it out. The cost of one egg is nothing compared to the risk of getting sick. Also, be mindful of how your eggs are stored in the fridge. The coldest spot is usually near the back of a middle or lower shelf, not the door, where temperatures fluctuate every time you open it. A consistent, cool temperature helps preserve the eggs and slows bacterial growth. These small habits might seem simple, but for seniors, especially those with health conditions or weaker immune systems, they can be life-saving. It's not about being fearful, it's about being thoughtful. You've spent your life taking care of others. Now, it's time to take care of yourself, starting with the little things. So the next time you cook eggs, enjoy them fresh, store them smart, and if you're reheating, take your time, because a safe egg is a healthy egg, and you deserve nothing less. 4. Raw or undercooked eggs. Now let's talk about something that's gained a bit of popularity in recent years, eating raw or undercooked eggs. You've probably heard the claims. Some people say raw eggs are more natural, that they preserve more nutrients. You might have even seen folks adding raw eggs into smoothies or protein shakes, thinking it's a shortcut to better health. But here's the thing, especially for older adults, the risks far outweigh the rewards. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 68 years old and takes her health seriously. She walks every morning, eats plenty of greens, and avoids processed foods. One day, she read an article online about how raw eggs can boost energy and nutrient absorption. Intrigued, she started blending a raw egg into her morning smoothie. For a while, everything seemed fine, until it wasn't. Margaret suddenly began experiencing intense stomach pain, fever, and nausea. She ended up in the emergency room, diagnosed with salmonella poisoning, and the likely cause? A single raw egg, store-bought, looked perfectly clean. Here's what many people don't realize. Eggs can carry harmful bacteria like salmonella, even if they look fresh and clean. Bacteria can be present not only on the shell but also inside the egg, especially if it came from a contaminated hen. While younger folks might recover from salmonella with a few days of rest, for seniors, it can be much more serious, leading to dehydration, hospitalization, or in severe cases, dangerous complications like sepsis. What about foods that seem safe but use raw eggs? Things like homemade mayonnaise, cookie dough, cake batter, or sunny-side-up eggs with runny yolks. They all carry the same risk. And if that wasn't enough, there's another problem with raw eggs, something called avidin. Avidin is a protein found in raw egg whites that binds to biotin, a crucial B vitamin. Biotin helps with metabolism, energy, and even supports healthy skin and hair. When avidin blocks biotin, your body can't absorb it properly, which over time may lead to a deficiency. Luckily, there's a simple solution. Cook your eggs fully. Cooking not only kills harmful bacteria, but it also neutralizes avidin, unlocking the full nutritional power of the egg. Now, you might be wondering, what if I buy organic or free-range eggs? Aren't those safer? It's true that organic and pasture-raised eggs often come from better environments, and they may contain more omega-3 fats. But when it comes to bacterial contamination, no egg is completely risk-free. Salmonella doesn't care whether a hen lived in a cage or a grassy field. So, what are the safer alternatives if you still love a soft yolk? One good option is pasteurized eggs. These are gently heat treated to kill bacteria but still safe to eat with a runny yolk or in recipes that call for raw eggs. You can find them at most grocery stores. They cost a little more, but for peace of mind, they're worth it. Here's the bottom line. As we get older, we have to be more cautious with food safety. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Our immune systems aren't as strong as they once were, and something that might just give a younger person an upset stomach could be far more dangerous for us. Margaret learned that the hard way. Since then, she switched to gently scrambled eggs or soft-boiled ones with fully cooked whites and yolks. She still enjoys her morning routine, just with a safer, smarter twist. And you can too. Eggs are still one of the best foods you can eat, but they need to be handled with care. Cook them through. Avoid the raw trends. And if you ever feel unsure, choose safety. Because nothing should come between you and your health, especially not breakfast. 5. Choosing the right oils. Let's take a moment to talk about something simple. Something that often sits quietly on the back of your kitchen shelf. A bottle of oil. Most of us never gave it much thought. We reached for what our parents used, what was affordable, what was familiar. A little splash in the pan, and breakfast was done. But what if I told you that the oil you use is just as important as the food you're cooking? Especially as we get older, every little decision we make about what we put into our bodies carries more weight. Our systems change. Our hearts, joints, and brains respond differently to the same foods we've eaten for years. And sadly, many common cooking oils were never made with our long-term health in mind. Let's start with what we often see on grocery shelves. Bottles labeled vegetable oil, canola oil, or soybean oil. These oils are cheap and widely available, but they're also highly refined. They go through chemical processing and are often stripped of their natural nutrients. And when heated, especially in a frying pan, they break down further, creating compounds that may fuel inflammation, damage blood vessels, or even stress the brain. You can't always taste it. You won't always feel it right away. But over time, it adds up. Inflammation isn't always loud. Sometimes it's subtle. A little fatigue, more stiffness than usual, feeling foggy after meals. For seniors whose bodies are already managing the weight of time, these signals matter. But here's the good news. The fix is easy, and it's delicious. Switching to the right oils doesn't mean giving up flavor. In fact, it often makes your meals taste better and leaves you feeling better too. So, what makes an oil the right one? It starts with stability under heat. Some oils break down quickly, others stay strong and clean, even when you cook with them. Oils like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, ghee, and even real butter offer more than just flavor. They bring along healthy fats, antioxidants, and nutrients your body can actually use. They don't just coat your pan. They support your brain, your heart, your digestion. Many seniors who've made this change report clearer energy, less bloating, and more satisfaction from their meals. Not because they ate less, but because their food was working with their body, not against it. This isn't about trends or diets or fads. It's about respect for your body, your health, and your years. So the next time you pull out that frying pan, take a pause before you reach for the oil. Read the label. Ask yourself if it's helping or harming. Because this small change, a change that costs just a few dollars, could quietly improve how you feel, how you digest, how you age. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to change everything overnight, but you do deserve to feel good after your meals. And switching to the right oil, that's one of the kindest gifts you can give your body. A better breakfast starts with better choices. And better choices start with knowledge. Now you have it. Wrapping it all together. What if a better life started with a better breakfast? We've covered a lot in this video. And maybe, like many people, you're thinking, I've been eating eggs my whole life. Why does it suddenly matter now? The truth is, it always mattered. But as we grow older, our bodies become more honest with us. We feel things more. We notice the effects of our habits, good or bad, more clearly. We've talked about 5 common mistakes people make with eggs. Mistakes that are so easy to overlook, yet quietly shape our health. We've learned that leaving cooked eggs out too long can invite dangerous bacteria. That overcooking eggs doesn't just ruin the taste, it steals their nutrients. That eating them raw or undercooked, especially at our age, may be more risky than helpful. That reheating improperly can turn yesterday's breakfast into today's stomachache, and that the oil we cook with, a simple choice, can either support our health or slowly chip away at it. But here's the good news. None of these mistakes are hard to fix. You don't need to throw out everything in your kitchen. You don't need a complicated diet or a brand new lifestyle. You just need a little more awareness, a little more care, a little more respect for what your body needs now. Not what worked 20 years ago, but what works today. Because here's the truth. You still deserve to feel strong, to feel light, to enjoy your food without worry, to wake up with clarity and energy, knowing you're giving your body what it needs to thrive. And if that starts with something as simple as an egg, then that's a beautiful place to begin. So tomorrow morning, when you crack one open, I hope you remember this. You're not just cooking breakfast, you're nourishing your health, you're honoring your years, and you're taking back the quiet power of choice. Small actions, big ripple effects. That's the wisdom we earn and the life we get to protect.